Don't be like me, okay? Don't. Drink the water, feel hydrated, now be ready to talk, and slay the interview. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Do, back here with another video. Thank you for watching and welcome back. Today I brought you here in my kitchen, a little change of scenery so we can switch things up a bit. So today I want to talk to you guys about how I won the DAAD or DAAD scholarship. The DAAD or DAAD is also known as a German academic exchange service. It is in fact the world's largest funding organization for international students and researchers who want to pursue academic studies in Germany. So it is a very prestigious award. A very prestigious scholarship. I am extremely lucky to have been chosen. I was actually one of 10 students chosen from all of Kosovo. I think there were 80 or 90 applicants in total. So all of them are either master's students or PhD students. But I'm one of them and it is actually insane. I still can't believe it. Ugh. But yeah, I was really fortunate to win the DAAD scholarship for master studies. Mine was specifically a scholarship dedicated to master students of all disciplines. So it wasn't like a very specific scholarship. The DAAD offers hundreds of scholarships and they're all geared towards different fields, towards different academic courses, towards different academic levels. You know, it all depends on what you're studying and what type of scholarship you want to apply for. And I think every year they have a scholarship for master students. It doesn't differentiate from one field to another. So in this case, I had English. I know others who are studying psychology, others studying medicine. I think some are studying like music, physics, biochemistry, you know, all of that jazz. So much diversity. It is beautiful. And if you're thinking of studying in Germany, I would highly recommend and encourage you to look at the opportunities that DAAD offers because there are tons of scholarships out there and there is something for you. So I just want to tell you guys about my experience, you know, the application documents, the application procedure, the interview, all of that jazz, and especially how long things took, just to give you a little perspective on how the whole application process works in case you're wondering or planning to apply for a scholarship yourself. I already started studying in Germany before I applied for the scholarship. So when I applied for the master's degree scholarship, I only applied for the second year of studies. My master's studies are 2 years. So 1 year was like self-funded and the second one is funded by the DAAD, which is And if you want to apply to a scholarship, just check out the specifics because I think different scholarships have different deadlines. So mine was last year in November, I think 15th or 14th of November, not really sure. That was a deadline when you were supposed to like send in your documents and everything. So yeah, if you want to apply, just keep in mind the deadlines because you have to start your application process like 1 year prior. I started my application process last November so that the scholarship could actually begin this year, this October. So you need to prepare well in advance. And if you're planning of applying for a scholarship for next year, you should have all of your documents ready. And I think the deadline is also this November. I'm not sure, but you should check. Some of the documents that I had to submit were a CV, a letter of motivation, a certificate of the German language, school documents, university documents, as well as a reference letter. All of the other documents besides the letter of recommendation were fairly easy for me because I was able to get them in time, write the motivation letter. I'll talk about the motivation letter in a minute. Now, the recommendation letter part for me was a bit challenging. Not that I couldn't find anyone to write a recommendation letter for me. Sending the recommendation letter from my hometown, Pristina, to Bonn, the city in Germany where the DAAD headquarters are. This was tricky because you are not allowed to read the recommendation letter that the professor wrote for you. The professor, the institution, they will give you a recommendation letter in a sealed envelope. It's usually like a simple envelope, and at the seal, it's an academic seal where they stamp it 1 or 3 times. Mine was 3 times to tell you that it has been closed. The envelope has been sealed and you're not allowed to open the envelope. So that was a bit tricky. How was I going to get my university professors to send the document from Pristina to Bonn? And everyone's doing their own thing. Semesters began in Pristina and Berlin at the same time. Everybody was working, everybody was busy. I couldn't ask my professors to go and mail the recommendation letters. So I had to organize the whole thing from Pristina, get my brother to send the recommendation letter, and then get my brother to go get the recommendation letters and then go back to the post office and send them. It was just, ugh. And you're supposed to download the recommendation letters from the DAAD application portal. So it's not just a random one. They have specific slots where the professors have to write or answer questions about you, write their opinions, you know, usually what you do in a recommendation letter, but it's actually geared towards some specific purposes that the DAAD wants to know. You have to download the recommendation letter, write the name of the professor, your name, everything, send it to the professor. They have to fill it out, electronically. They're not allowed to fill it by hand. Download it, sign it, stamp it, then put it in an envelope, stamp the envelope. It's a bit of a hassle, especially if you're not in the city where you're applying for. So I had to constantly go with emails and calls back and forth from Pristina and Berlin. Like, have you done this? I've sent this. The recommendation letter was sent really close to the deadline because of these issues. I had completed my application a week or two before, but the letter eventually arrived safely and all was good. The application period ended and I got an email confirmation that they had got all of the documents and they will be processing my application. I think I got the confirmation at the end of November or beginning of December. And if I was selected, I would have to attend an interview. And that interview would be the final part of my application process and it would determine whether I got the scholarship or not. The motivational letter, the motivational essay, the one you write to DAAD about yourself was so jarring for me to write because that is one of the most important parts of your application. I'm not used to writing about myself. Like, I've done this and I've done that. This is what I've achieved. This is what I've accomplished. This is why I think you should choose me. It's a really... In the future, I plan on making a video where I talk about tips and tricks on how to write a good motivational essay because I had to write a lot and rewrite a lot. And just a little info from my side, from having gone through the process and everything. So stay tuned for that video. So I think I had to wait till the end of December to actually get a reply and, some sort of answer if I was selected for the interview or not. And I was extremely, extremely thankful and lucky that I was selected for the interview. They didn't tell us how many people were selected or anything. It's just a letter like, congratulations, you've been accepted for the next part of the process. And the letter also said that they would let us know which day specifically we would have to attend interviews because the interviews were held in 2 separate days. I think it was a Monday and a Tuesday, sometime in middle January. I had like 2 to 3 weeks to prepare for the interview and I was shaking and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? I was Googling like, what do they ask in these interviews? I want to know what I have to say because I don't usually prepare my answers. I speak what I feel. I speak, what I know. And that's a good and a bad thing because sometimes if someone asks you something and they're like, well, this and that and this and that, it gets a little messy. So if you have like a good, clear answer of the things that you want to do or the things that you want to say, that helps you a lot. And I was stuck. And the other part was that I didn't know specifically which day I was going to have the interviews on because I had to hop on a plane back to Berlin. And then I sent an email to the DAAD asking if they had any idea when they would let us know which day we're going to have the interview in because I had to go back to Berlin. I had classes that began at the beginning of January and I missed like 2 weeks of classes because they didn't reply to me. And I understand that they didn't reply because they didn't know or they were still selecting and planning and all of that, but they could have just let me know that they wouldn't tell me. So getting no response was a bit at least expecting like a we're not going to tell you type of email, but yeah. And usually all of the planes for the first 2 weeks of January are completely booked because everyone's like coming back from spending holidays in Pristina or in Kosovo. And because I didn't know which day I was going to have my interview in, I couldn't book a ticket. So all of the planes were booked and I was stuck till the end of January in Pristina, missing many, many lectures here, but I sent the professors emails and they were fine with it. They told me what homework I had to do, if I had to practice anything, if I had to read anything. I was constantly back and forth and I told them that I'm home because I'm applying for a scholarship and I have an interview, so I can't come. So thankfully everything went fine, no problems with my university. It's just that the thing of not knowing was, for me, not being able to plan what I'm supposed to do and plan ahead was completely ugh. They let us know a week before our interview, so mine was on a Tuesday. They sent me an email like the Tuesday before, and you're supposed to go to the German embassy. That's where the interviews were held in Pristina. And yeah, so. The big day. The day where we finally realized if I was going to get a scholarship. No, that's not the day. That was just the day where I was supposed to finish completely the application process. And I got there extremely early because I was afraid that I was going to be late. I was afraid that they would start. When there's something really important and you want to be early just in case something happens. So yeah, I was like a half hour early before my interview time, but they were still going pretty slow and they were working with some delays or something. Really, unfortunately for me, I was already stressed. I was already shivering. I was already feeling nauseous. I had to wait an hour outside in the freezing cold winter of January outside of the embassy. I think my interview was set for 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So it was already really cold by then. Having to wait another hour, which combined with the half hour that I was early, took an hour and a half outside in the freezing cold. Shivers, emotions, feeling nauseous, all of that. And I had an interview that would determine if I got the scholarship or not. And I really hate this thing with embassies and, ministries and all of that thing where you're supposed to go and they don't dedicate a space for you to wait, where you're supposed to wait outside, hot, cold, raining, snowing, whatever, you're supposed to wait outside. And it's just, it's horrible. It is extremely horrible. So I finally got in to my interview. I was supposed to wait for I think 5 minutes until they were ready. They sorted out the documents, they saw my resume, they saw my motivational letter. The interview went great. You should believe in yourself. You should trust yourself. If you got yourself that far, it means that they were interested in you. They want to know you. Stop freaking out. The interview went great. So they asked a little bit about my CV, my aspirations, what I wanted to do, what I'm studying, how are my studies going, if I've written anything, because I was an English literature major, and if I've learned anything new, what's interesting, how do I like it. They also tested my German, because if you apply with a German certificate telling that you know German, they will test you. I think midway through the interview, she asked, would you mind if we switch and talk in German so we could, test it out and see how you speak? And then that's when it hit me. I was like, and then I said, yeah, definitely we can. It's just that I make a lot of mistakes. And then the other interviewers were like, we make mistakes as well. Don't worry, ha ha. And when the interviewers laugh and you start laughing it was great. They were so nice. They were so helpful. There were 4 interviewers in total, and some of them would ask about, your dreams, what do you like, what you don't like, and there's always one person who is going to ask the hard questions or who is going to challenge you. I don't like to be challenged. It was a really interesting experience, and they asked what do you want to do in the future? And I said, well, I dream big. I'm a person who dreams extremely big, and I like to work my way up through it. So one of my biggest dreams is to have my own publishing house. And then the guy who's asking the risque questions, he says yeah, but that's too big. And I was like, yeah, I know it's too big. It's why I dream. It's what I plan. It's what I want to. If it doesn't happen, it's fine, but I'm going to work my way up to it. He was like, but there are a lot of authors who don't get that dream. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it is my dream and I'm going to work towards it. If I don't achieve it, that's fine, but I'm not going to stop because it's an aspiration and a goal that I have for the future. And then he was like, yeah, but it's extremely hard. I was like, oh, dude, leave me alone. I told you what I want. I'm dead set on it. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to quake because you've asked me. And then the other 2 interviewers started asking different questions because we were going back and forth but this is really hard. And I kept saying, but yeah, that's why I want to do it. But some people haven't done it. And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to try and do it. It was back and forth. It was interesting, but we were laughing and we were smiling and also practicing in German. It was overall really great. I had such a dry throat and a dry mouth the whole process. And I think the interview lasted about 20 to 30 minutes because, we were on a clock and I had the water in front of me. But for the life of me, I could not find the courage to pour a glass of water for myself. And I could feel myself going, just drink some water. Why are you putting yourself through this? I was like, I gotta talk. I gotta present myself really well. I gotta show them that, I deserve the scholarship. I want it. I've worked hard for it. I couldn't pour myself a glass of water, even though we got the Sahara Desert going on in here. But yeah, and you have water in your interviews. If you are invited to an interview, just don't be as stupid as I did, as I was. It's fine to be under pressure. It's fine to be stressed because it is a really important part in your life. It is a really important aspiration, a really important goal to achieve. But don't stress yourself out too much that you cannot find the courage somewhere in you to just pour yourself a glass of water. Don't be like me, okay? Don't. Drink the water, feel hydrated, now be ready to talk and slay the interview. But in general, the interview did go really well, thankfully, and I'm very lucky that I was accepted. It was insane. I got the email in early March. I couldn't believe it. I was like, is that for me? Did I win it? It was insane. My experience was just, And then from March until October, it's just administrative issues, documents back and forth signed, and yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my experience with the DAAD scholarship. Well, a roller coaster of an experience. It's great. I learned a lot. I also learned to try and calm myself down in situations because it is not worth stressing yourself out too much. So yeah, I learned a lot. I'm extremely, extremely thankful, and I feel lucky as hell. And if you guys have any questions relating to the scholarship or studying in Germany in general, either comment them down or send me a message. I will be making a few other videos as well in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, follow me on my socials, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I can't eat anything the whole day. I can't drink. I can't sleep. I've got shivers. It's insane. It's stupid as well because, what's the worst that they're gonna do? Say no?